Now, forget the millennium, I wish we could. It seems the 80s is the decade of the moment. Blondie went straight to #1 with her comeback single, and Culture Club and ABC are also having a revival. But remember Jed Cool, 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 Jed Cool.
Many people will remember pop sensation Jed Cool, a phenomenally successful singer who had chart hits during the mid-1980s. His music, arguably some of the most innovative songs of the decade, are still looked back upon as classics by fans and peers alike. Over the next 2 shows, we'll take an exclusive look at Jed Cool's life so far, and why he's decided to make a comeback now after more than a decade of obscurity. In this first show, we will focus on Cool, the star.
What can I say? It truly is a fairy story, from rags to riches, to rags and back to riches.
I've known him for years and he's still the same person. He's an absolute wonder and I love him.
I've known me for years too and I agree. I am a wonder. I am Jed Cool.
I feel lazy, miss my baby, going crazy. Oh God, please save me down deep inside. Hurts when you lie, lost in the tide. You know I tried.
Jed Cool, real name Jed Coolidge, was born on the 26th of March 1964 in Southampton, England. At an early age, Cool took an interest in music and by his early teens was being influenced by electric sounds of German pioneers Kraftwerk and Brit Gary Newman. Bowie's Berlin trilogy of albums co-produced with Brian Eno also had a big effect on the impressionable Cool.
I remember it like it was 20 years ago. There was Kraftwerk, Newman, Gary Newman that is, all these wonderful sounds springing up. Especially Bowie's Low album from '77, which incidentally I got on the first day of release. Watching Depeche Mode on Top of the Pops in 1981, 82, and playing along with them on one of those little Casio keyboard things. There were loads of those little things around, those little keyboards about then. It's little keyboards like that made it possible to do it yourself, you know. Have a go yourself. Loads of kids I know had those. It was those, well, I don't know, those space age sounds you could call them, I suppose. I liked all those sounds, you know. Spaceship sounds. Press the button. And there was like the electric pigeon sounds.
During his early gigs, Cool would acknowledge his heroes, covering songs from Gary Newman and Kraftwerk to not so well known bands such as the new wave outfit, the Beefeaters. Detritus, another group he had been working with, have recently worked with Cool as a backing band.
Well, the first time I heard, and saw for that matter, Jed Cool, I thought, bloody hell, what's this bloody fool up to? Because there he was, dressed up like he does and that, and but he seemed so sincere, he seemed so serious about what he was doing, and I suppose that's what struck me about him, that arrogance he has, if you like. Even if most of the audience thought he was a right Charlie. But no, I mean, he did it with such conviction that you can't really knock him for that. Although you can knock him for taking out my guitar bits. Because there was one song we did, Electric Heart Attack, and he almost, well, he completely stripped all my gorgeous guitar parts and replaced them with this piercing, and I mean piercing, synthesizer sound. Bloody Nora. I mean, he'd definitely been listening to a lot of Gary Newman. I don't know. I mean, that was the sound he was going for, but somehow, I mean, it was certainly something different.
The synthesizer became Cool's instrument. By the early 80s, he was signed up to a renowned record label. Soon he was mixing with up-and-coming people and bands like Duran Duran and Spandau Ballet. His big break came in 1984 with the success of his song New Directions, a minimalist electronic affair devised during a trip to Berlin.
One thing I was doing, I'm talking now, right? One thing I was doing when I started out, but I was doing it wrong, it was trying to imitate too much. What I needed to do was to try and find my own sound, to innovate. I mean, I've mentioned my influences and they still influence me to this day, but what I needed was a break somewhere, so I thought Berlin, you know. I knew it had worked for Bowie and Iggy Pop and that, so I thought I might as well give it a lash. So I did. I went over there, stayed with a mate, and using my little Casio, you see, I came up with what ideas, you know, on the hoof as I was going around. On the bus, the underground, or whatever the Germans call the underground, and I came up with New Directions. New Directions was where I wanted to go, you see, that sort of sound. So I called it New Directions, and when I got back, it was all Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, and all those boys. It was a good time for me, for them. It was a good time for everyone involved. And you know, we used to hang out down the boozer for a couple of wets, you know.
It would seem, what with his flamboyant taste in clothes, which is as much to do with him as it is his music, Cool was ideally suited to the new romantic movement of the early 80s.